Pierpaolo. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please take your seats? We would like to start the session. Please take your seats. We would like to start. I'd also like to invite our panelists to join us for the first panel. Join us here. Good afternoon to all of you who are here. Good morning also to others who are following us in remote. It's a really pleasure to be with you today for a really very important topic. It is, I'm delighted that you're joining us for this CFS side event by the name of Scaling Up the Implementation of CFS Policy Instruments in Time of Climate Crisis. The role of the UN Decade of Family Farming 2019-2028. So we all know that family farmers are absolutely pivotal in making agri-food systems, and this is what we are supposed to, center our efforts on doing, making agri-food systems more inclusive, more sustainable, more resilient, and more efficient. And that is very clearly one of the big lines in which we organize the work on the UN Decade of Family Farming. So they have such an important role to play, not only because they produce over 80% of the planet's food, and this is in value terms, and they employ 30% of the world's population, but also because they're the backbone of our rural areas where they provide social, economic, and cultural services as agents of local communities while protecting the environment and preserving the diversity of ecosystem and genetic resources. It has been now 4 years since we launched the decade, and the results that we have already seen and that we continue to see from different parts of the world have been incredibly strong. So given the success with today's event, what we wish to do is to highlight the extraordinary opportunity that the decade can offer to contextualize and implement global policy instruments, including CFS products. So the decade supports our member states in developing family farming policies, helping them to join the dots between productive, economic, social, environmental, and cultural dimensions of sustainable agri-food systems, and to increase coordination between traditionally independent sectoral areas. So with these efforts, the decade can be instrumental in facilitating policy convergence in a coordinated, participatory, multi-stakeholder manner, as well as critically amplifying the voice of family farmers around the world, and in particular of women and young farmers, to mitigate the effects of climate change and to ensure more diverse, sustainable, and resilient food systems. So today we will hear from different actors engaged in implementing the decade, and they will be showcasing successful examples and presenting the effective mechanisms that are already bringing concrete and lasting results to the ground. So we will be honored by the opening of His Excellency Ambassador Mario Arbelo, and after that we will have 2 different panel discussions. We will have a small break between one and the other as we have our speakers change here in the podium. And at the end, we will hear from the European Commission with her closing remarks. So we're looking forward to that. So for me, I would like to, right before giving the floor to my friend and Excellency Mario Arvelo, I would like to recognize here the presence of the Ambassador of Costa Rica, who has been a wonderful chair of the International Steering Committee of the decade. Thank you, Ambassador, for your presence. So now it is my pleasure to invite Ambassador Mario Arvelo, who's permanent representative of the Dominican Republic to the Rome-based agencies of the United Nations and the chair of the decade's International Steering Committee. He will be providing some highlights of the achievements of the decade since its launch. Mario, you have the floor.
Gracias, Marcela. Es un honor y una alegría darles la bienvenida como presidente del Comité Directivo Internacional del Decenio de Naciones Unidas para la Agricultura Familiar. Estamos aquí para pasar revista a los avances del decenio y al camino por recorrer. El escenario es oportuno porque hemos sido convocados en paralelo al 51º periodo de sesiones del Comité de Seguridad Alimentaria Mundial, que tuve el honor de presidir, y que es la plataforma más inclusiva del sistema internacional. El decenio es un instrumento clave para diseñar e implementar políticas convergentes de manera coordinada y participativa en favor de los agricultores familiares que producen el 80% de los alimentos. Los pilares y las actividades del decenio tienen íntima vinculación con las recomendaciones de políticas del CSA, comenzando por las directrices sobre el derecho a la alimentación y las directrices sobre la tenencia de la tierra, los principios de inversión responsable y los recién aprobados paquetes de recomendaciones para empoderar a los jóvenes y a las mujeres. Interconectar los esfuerzos del comité y el decenio ofrece un enorme potencial. Los mecanismos de movilización de capital político, de capital humano, de capital financiero de ambas plataformas impulsan los esfuerzos globales, regionales y nacionales. Hace 4 años, en la Sala Roja, aquí al lado de este auditorio, lanzamos el decenio. Sobre el podio estábamos el director general de la FAO, el presidente del Fondo Internacional para el Desarrollo Agrícola, la presidenta de la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas y quien habla como presidente del CSA. La promesa que formulamos para los siguientes 10 años fue de promover políticas para reconocer el papel vital de los agricultores familiares en la erradicación del hambre y la malnutrición. Con el lanzamiento del decenio, delegados de todos los países nos comprometimos a preservar los recursos naturales, a promover la sostenibilidad de los sistemas alimentarios, a hacer frente al cambio climático y a mejorar los medios de producción y la calidad de vida de los hombres y mujeres que se rompen la espalda y dejan la piel en los campos de cultivo, en la crianza y el pastoreo y en la captura de especies acuáticas. La gran paradoja de nuestro tiempo es que la mayoría de quienes trabajan en la agricultura, en la ganadería y en la pesca, más de 600 millones de personas, nuestros hermanos y hermanas, casi todos ellos en el sur global, sufren de hambre y de malnutrición. Con el lanzamiento del decenio, la comunidad de las naciones dijo basta. Y los resultados de estos primeros 4 años cumplen las expectativas generadas en 2019. Me complace reportar que se registra un impulso considerable en el avance de la agricultura familiar a nivel global. El decenio ha promovido el diseño e implementación de planes de trabajo y herramientas de políticas en 76 países. Otros 12 han aprobado planes nacionales de acción y 42 han iniciado procesos para desarrollar los suyos. Los resultados incluyen 3 planes de acción a nivel regional y subregional con impacto directo en 40 países. Hemos involucrado a 2.625 actores relevantes en procesos de diálogo, incluyendo 1.853 organizaciones y federaciones de agricultores familiares. Me llena de satisfacción reportar que los avances extraordinarios verificados en mi propio país, República Dominicana, van mano de la mano con el decenio. El decenio ha establecido o ha reforzado 80 mecanismos de coordinación intersectorial y plataformas multidisciplinarias para continuar promoviendo el diálogo político de abajo hacia arriba, bottom-up. Estos grandes logros, que nos llenan de alegría, no alcanzan para cumplir el objetivo de hambre cero de la Agenda 2030. Aún falta mucho por hacer. Desde hoy y hasta la conclusión del decenio en 2028, nos toca concertar voluntades, alinear esfuerzos y reforzar las conexiones interinstitucionales. La transformación de los sistemas agroalimentarios necesariamente pasa por integrar a los agricultores familiares para que la producción de comida sea cada vez más saludable, cada vez más sostenible y cada vez más eficaz. El decenio es una historia de éxito. Desde la idea original de Costa Rica, y reconozco de nuevo al embajador Federico Zamora por su liderazgo inicial en el comité directivo, y hasta el día de hoy con un secretariado conjunto de la FAO y del FIDA entregado a un trabajo noble y útil junto a la sociedad civil, organizaciones de agricultores y múltiples asociados. Y valga también el momento para reconocer el gran trabajo de Marcela Villarreal, de Guillermo Brady y de todo su equipo. Pero los desafíos son inmensos. Las guerras traen muerte y destrucción. El cambio climático desata de tempestades y sequías. Los pobres del campo y las ciudades se desplazan dentro y fuera de las fronteras buscando mejores medios de vida. En este panorama alarmante, renovamos la apuesta por el multilateralismo, que ofrece herramientas como el decenio para buscar soluciones de consenso basadas en la ciencia y en las buenas prácticas para los problemas comunes de la humanidad. Para la supervivencia de nuestra especie y del planeta, tenemos urgencia de transformar los sistemas agroalimentarios para que sean más sostenibles, más resilientes, más biodiversos, para que nuestros alimentos sean sanos, nutritivos, suficientes y accesibles para todos. Y todo esto que he dicho se resume así. La ruta a la erradicación del hambre y la salvación del planeta está señalada por los agricultores familiares. A ellos les debemos el alimento que nos mantiene con vida y nos da fuerzas. Apoyar a los hombres y las mujeres del campo es nuestro deber ético y es nuestra obligación existencial. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias al embajador Arbelo, como siempre nos inspira y nos da los derroteros para seguir adelante en este trabajo. Y efectivamente estamos de acuerdo, es hora de decir basta y de ver cómo podemos agrupar nuestras fuerzas y ir adelante apoyando de manera mucho más decidida a los agricultores familiares. Muchísimas gracias por eso. Ahora vamos a pasar a la primera tabla redonda. Entonces, this roundtable is going to focus on scaling up the decades to contextualize and implement global policy instruments, including CFS products, to achieve policy convergence. So I'm pleased to introduce our first speaker, Javier Sánchez Anzo, de la Vía Campesina, who is also the Vice Chair of the International Steering Committee of the Decade. Y la pregunta que tengo para ti, Javier, en el día de hoy es si nos podrías compartir con nosotros cómo ves tú el diseño y cómo puede este diseño generar un marco que nos lleve a esta convergencia de políticas de la cual estamos hablando. A ti la palabra. Tienes 3 minutos. Before I call my panelists to give their interventions, let me remind all of the panelists that you will have 3 minutes, and sorry for that, but we do have a number of people who are going to intervene, so please keep to your time.
Desde aquí, desde la mesa, ¿no?
Como tú prefieres. ¿Prefieres
Bueno.
aquí o prefieres allá?
Bueno.
Como prefieres.
Bueno, ahí mismo, pues, también.
Basta que sean 3 minutos y los puedes distribuir como desees.
Bueno, la vida es eterna en 5 minutos, decía. Entonces, en 3 ya. Bueno, felicitar por este evento paralelo en este momento, en este contexto de mayor complejidad y de mayor dificultad para todos los objetivos que nos animan y por los que luchamos, todas las personas que estamos aquí. Después de las palabras de Mario, para mí es pues un honor estar aquí, ver por primera vez presencialmente al anterior presidente, saludar a quien ya conocía cuando era presidente del CSA, por lo tanto, un honor. Buenos días, soy Javier Sánchez, un agricultor campesino. El año pasado mi cosecha en el campo fue 0, sequía. Piensen en las millones de personas de las que se habla sin saber cuáles son sus problemas. Yo soy del norte. Piensen en las millones de personas de todo el mundo, de Asia, de África, de tal. ¿Qué necesitan? Hace un año, ellos saben lo que necesitan y saben producir. Respecto a la pregunta, el Plan de Acción Global del Decenio lo deja claro en su mandato. Ayudar a implementar los productos del CSA. Un apunte histórico. ¿Y esto es un invento? No. Cuando la reforma del Comité de Seguridad Alimentaria, que era un instrumento que no servía para nada, en ese momento de crisis, el CSA se convierte en un espacio intergubernamental donde participa activamente el mecanismo de la sociedad civil, formando parte de todos los frutos que los gobiernos, todos, aprobaron del CSA, que ya nombró Mario. La gobernanza de la tenencia de la tierra, la inversión responsable en agricultura, la agroecología, las recomendaciones en el tema de los jóvenes y actualmente, como ha dicho, las cuestiones de género. Pero conviene recordar esto. En los mandatos, cada uno tenemos un mandato. Nosotros un compromiso total desde el mecanismo de la sociedad civil y desde la década. Un compromiso renovado cada día. Es la FAO, la que tiene el mandato de la implementación, de la cooperación técnica, la que nos sirve de guía. Y eso nos da una idea clara de, por tanto, de en esos papeles, cómo la década, que actúa desde los planes nacionales, desde cada país, con ese trabajo en los 70 países, que nosotros como campesinos, como pueblos indígenas, como pescadores, deseamos que no solo las leyes se queden en marcos normativos, sino que pasen a la aplicación, a tener los presupuestos suficientes, porque de eso hablamos, ¿no? Por tanto, esos comités nacionales de agricultura familiar son los espacios para trabajar con esos instrumentos que gobierno y sociedad civil elaboran y aprobaron. Pero estos comités, nosotros en 2 años hemos visto que necesitan la participación y el liderazgo de todos los actores. Y vemos que hay países donde están bloqueadas organizaciones campesinas que no pueden actuar. Ahí hay que redoblar y fortalecer, por tanto, una participación inclusiva, que es mayor el compromiso a todos los gobiernos, reiteramos, un mayor compromiso de recursos para que la FAO, el secretariado de la FAO de la década pueda seguir trabajando en la línea de conseguir que los frutos del CSA tengan la coherencia con las políticas públicas que desde los gobiernos se implementan con la construcción y la participación de todos los actores, sobre todo precisamente los productores de alimentos. Por tanto, esa implementación horizontal, descentralizada e inclusiva, con el compromiso de todas las partes interesadas para llevar a nivel de medidas reales que respondan a las prioridades y necesidades de los campesinos. Por eso se necesita un monitoreo que siga las medidas legislativas y los programas nacionales, incluyendo indicadores campesinos. Gracias por su atención y antes de acabar, simplemente, como no va a haber tiempo después en el debate, este debate continúa. Mañana hay un evento paralelo precisamente sobre la transición justa o el acaparamiento verde. Entonces nos comprometemos también en ese debate. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias a Javier Sánchez. Ahora tengo el gran placer de darle la palabra a Juan Prieto, que es el representante permanente adjunto de España ante la FAO. Y todos sabemos los grandes esfuerzos que ha hecho España en relación a apoyar a los agricultores familiares. ¿Nos puedes contar qué está haciendo el Ministerio en este sentido?
Pues, sí, por supuesto, si me permites.
Claro que sí.
Prefiero estar de pie porque así nos vemos todos mejor las caras. Yo no crecí demasiado y sentado os veo peor. Antes de contar los 3 minutos, permíteme, por favor, Marcela, que haga el obligado agradecimiento y reconocimiento a la labor de FAO. Agradecimiento por invitar al Ministerio de Agricultura de España, a través de la representación permanente aquí, a decir qué se hace en España a través del Ministerio. Y reconocimiento por vuestra labor de FAO como institución y personalizado, permíteme el tuteo, en ti y en tu equipo, que hacéis una labor extraordinaria. Dicho esto, podemos ya controlar los 3 minutos. Esperaré ceñirme al tiempo. En primer lugar, ¿qué se entiende por agricultura familiar? Porque aquí estamos 194 países, 194 gobiernos, 194 sociedades civiles y la definición no es exactamente igual. Tal y como la entendemos en España, estamos hablando de una estructura en la que por debajo de una renta total de $500.000 de euros, 500.000 euros al año como facturación, está el 98% de las explotaciones agrarias españolas, que suponen un 90% de la superficie agraria útil o de la cabaña ganadera nacional y aproximadamente 2/3 del conjunto de la producción. Es decir, es la gran clase media de la agricultura española, la que sostiene, por tanto, el sector. Y por eso está en el centro de las políticas, tanto de la aplicación de la política agraria común en España como de las políticas estrictamente nacionales, con una serie de medidas que no tenemos tiempo de entrar en profundidad, pero que van desde un tope máximo de ayudas a un pago redistributivo para que sean las pequeñas, las primeras 30 hectáreas las que tienen la prioridad de las ayudas. ¿Ya solo un minuto? Gracias. Así que tenemos efectivamente una herramienta para fomentar esa agricultura que permite un mayor empoderamiento de la mujer, que es una prioridad absoluta para el Gobierno de España, una mayor relevancia, sustitución generacional, que también es importantísimo en nuestro país, y una mejor gestión del territorio. Para ello, el Ministerio de Agricultura forma parte del Comité Español para la década de la agricultura familiar, que se constituyó en el año 2021 y que ha elaborado un plan de acción para la agricultura familiar que fue presentado oficialmente en abril de este año. En paralelo se está desarrollando también todo un trabajo normativo y de las 17 regiones en las que se vive España, 17 comunidades autónomas, ya contamos con 2 leyes autonómicas al respecto. Y se basa en la acción del Plan de Actuación de la Agricultura Familiar en España en el decálogo de actuación, como no puede ser de otra manera, de Naciones Unidas para la agricultura familiar. Los avances que podemos constatar en estos años, muy brevemente, y estructurados en función de esos 7 grandes pilares que todos conocéis, se pueden resumir de la siguiente manera. En primer lugar, en la creación de ese entorno político para fortalecer la agricultura familiar, pero que se ha de evaluar. Entonces, para eso se están habilitando herramientas en el Ministerio para evaluar verdaderamente el progreso que se está haciendo, para ver si estamos en el buen camino o si hay que corregir la dirección. En cuanto a los jóvenes agricultores, hay un montante de 220 millones de euros anuales para la incorporación de jóvenes agricultores en España. Se les prioriza a ellos en el acceso a la Reserva Nacional, por ejemplo, de los derechos de la misma. Además, las comunidades autónomas, las regiones, pueden tener sus propios fondos añadidos y compatibles con ellos. Hay programas de formación como el Cultiva, que es una suerte de programa Erasmus para jóvenes agricultores que vayan a otras explotaciones modelo a aprender. Y, en definitiva, hemos conseguido que en estos primeros años, del 14 al 22, 22.000 jóvenes agricultores que no pertenecían al sector agrario se hayan incorporado. Y esperamos otros 16.000 de aquí al año 2030. En cuanto a las mujeres, lo mismo. Actualmente, en un proceso creciente, pero que aún tiene que avanzar, el 28% de los titulares de las explotaciones agrarias en España son mujeres. Este porcentaje no era así hace unos años. Afortunadamente estamos en el buen camino, pero tenemos aún que llegar al menos a ese 50%, que es lo que divide el mundo entre hombres y mujeres. Fortalecer, como cuarto pilar, las organizaciones de agricultores, el cooperativismo, el asociacionismo agrario. Esta es la fórmula de gestión empresarial agraria que tiene una mayor responsabilidad social corporativa, que favorece en mayor medida al pequeño y mediano agricultor, que lo hace sentirse más implicado con el modelo empresarial, pero también con el territorio. Por tanto, estamos hablando de un modelo que se potencia, se financia desde el Estado, pero también que tiene una permanente interlocución con la misma. Y, de hecho, en el año 2013, justo antes del lanzamiento de la década, se publicó en España la Ley del Fomento de la Integración Cooperativa y las entidades asociativas prioritarias, que ha rendido frutos muy positivos. Quinto, y solo son 7, mejorar la inclusión socioeconómica y la resiliencia y el bienestar de los agricultores. Bueno, pues en eso trabaja el Plan de Acción 2023-28, con los objetivos de llegar a esa transición justa hacia la agricultura familiar. Gracias. De trabajar en pro de una futura ley de agricultura familiar que integre y modernice la legislación actualmente vigente, pero a la luz de las necesidades actuales, y el programa de impulso a la agricultura y ganadería familiares sostenible, triplemente sostenible, en lo económico, en lo social y en lo medioambiental. El sexto pilar, promover esa sostenibilidad, como decíamos, de la agricultura familiar dentro de ese esquema del taburete de la sostenibilidad, que tiene 3 patas, si le falta una se cae y si una es más corta está desequilibrado. O sea que eso lo tenemos muy claro. Ahí entran a formar parte distintas herramientas de la nueva política agraria común aplicada, común me refiero de Europa, aplicada en España, como los ecoregímenes, las condiciones de edad reforzada y otra serie de medidas. Y luego una figura a la que personalmente tengo un cariño especial porque me parece que es fundamental desarrollar y que encaja perfectamente en la agricultura familiar, que son los SIPAM, los sistemas de interés del patrimonio agrario mundial. España es hoy por hoy el tercer país del mundo que cuenta con más, 5, después de China y Japón, y tenemos algún otro candidato que esperemos que pase a engrosar la lista. Pero efectivamente esta figura de los SIPAM encaja perfectamente en esos objetivos de preservar no solamente a ese pequeño agricultor, sino a su entorno especialmente privilegiado, a la riqueza en la biodiversidad, en el patrimonio genético, en el talento acumulado de generaciones, en definitiva, en el patrimonio de la cultura y de la agricultura, que la propia desinencia de la palabra lo dice, están inherentemente interrelacionados. Con esto espero haberme ceñido a los 3 minutos y esbozado un poco cómo es la situación en España. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias al doctor Juan Prieto por haber compartido con nosotros los importantes avances en todos los 7 pilares del Plan de Acción Global de la Agricultura Familiar en su diseño. Muchísimas gracias. Now I would like to hear from Mr. Moussa Sowa, who is the Vice President of the Réseau des Organisations Paysannes et de Producteurs de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, or how we all know it, ROPA. And we would like to ask you if you could please share with us your experience of the experience of your organization working precisely on the implementation of the voluntary guidelines on the responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries, and forestry in your country. So a specific CFS product that is really very fundamental for all of family farming and for all farming in general. You have the floor.
Do you want me to say it here or there?
As you wish. It's up to you. Whatever makes you more comfortable, and it's only just I'd like to remind you it's 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I would also want to join others to say thanks for organizing such a wonderful panel. First of all, let me just say that we have gotten to a level that nothing can happen without the farmers. particularly family farmers. You see, when things are decided, it has to be decided in agreement with the family farmers. Like, for example, in the context of ROPA, it's purely a family farmers organization because for the fact that we don't get to a level where NGOs and other academia assume our governance structures. It's purely a family farming thing. Let me just say that quickly. My presentation is going to look at some of the products of the CFS, looking at, for example, the voluntary guideline on the land tenure system. For example, in connection to what the World Rural Forum is doing in the establishment of the multi-sectoral platforms at the national level, has really worked for 3 countries. I want to give you an example of 3 countries. This is Senegal, Mali, and also Gambia. A promotion of dialogue based on the effectiveness of the national platform was quite accepted and also honored at the level of the national level. So, but it gave birth to a few issues that I want to dial on. Like I said, there has been a time when family farmers were not considered as being part of the process. Like I said, whatever is done for me, without me, it's not for me. We have changed that scenario. Now we are part of a system where farmers or family farmers are leading the process, and that's in multi-sectoral committee at national level. And this multi-sectoral committee, I took an example of Sinope, Mali, CNCR, and also NACOFA in Gambia. First of all, the dialogue was created between the national land reforms. Because of this platform, the family farmers have participated in many policy reforms that has to do with land tenure at national level. And this was a very inclusive approach. In the national platform, you will have government, you will have the civil society, you will have farmers, you have the UN agencies. Basically, it's a platform that has really given us a bigger opportunity at the level of ROPA, knowing that there is nothing that can happen in the absence of farmers. So we feel that farming is quite an interesting thing to do, but we also have to realize that it cannot happen in the absence of having to give us that platform. Secondly, in the land reform technical committees, this is an opportunity also through this platform established by World Rural Forum that we in these 3 countries, the farmers will have an opportunity to have interaction with the land reform technical committees in our different countries. So the third one is the different actors together provide a high significant facilitating role in the discussion of the national narrative on land tenure. Land tenure has not been a product that was really recognized before the creation of this national multi-sectoral committee through the intervention of the Decade of Family Farming and also World Rural Forum. The third point is it contributes to the content of the national land policy. Like I said, there has not been policies in few countries because for the fact that government, these are political issues, and some government were not interested to really push this policy issue. But because of the presence of this multi-sectoral committee, there has been a very significant gain regarding the land policies and also the land use policies. Some countries did not have land use policy, and because of this platform, that was also possible to have this also within those countries. The customary land bills, which speaks on the social and also our cultural norms, has been a challenge for women and youth to access and control land. And we know one factor of production is really looks at access to land is a primary gain within the framework of that national committee. The pastoralists and also the crop farmers, there has been a conflict throughout. In the different countries, but because of this multi-sectoral committee, that also has gotten to a level that has been a compromise between the pastoralists and also the farmers, because the conflict has been too significant for few countries at a level that where people have to lose their lives. For the fact that there has not been a framework that was supposed to be there to negotiate and also ensures free interaction between the crop farmers and also livestock. As part of the instrument, has also been a passage for agricultural land use. Like I said, there has been a time when agricultural lands were changed to residential, and if we feel that has really not been what we want as farmers. But because of this multi-sectoral committee, most of that thing has stopped, the agricultural land has now stayed as agricultural lands, and farmers can access them to produce their food. The next one is it has contributed to the drafting of land laws, within our countries, within these 3 countries that I have used as examples. I said there has been a time when government, there has been a lot of land grabbing. Government would use those land grabbing because the investor, the industrial farmers or industrial agriculture and also residential approaches has really been a big hurdle. And I think that has really also created a big setback for farmers within those 3 countries as example that I have used. I said it has also served, the platform has also served as a capacity development, capacity building in the international exchanges within the farming community. Again, it has also served as an awareness creation and also knowledge sharing using the platform. Because I said there has been a time when government has not been very, very close to farmers, but this platform has created an opportunity where government has worked too closely with farmers, interacting with farmers because of that platform. So I think, and also on the issue of problem solving, it has been a challenge. Like I said, we have also used the platform not only to advocate and also share information, but it has also been used as an avenue where conflict and conflict-related issues were also settled. The important part of it is the fact that the farmer organizations have now gotten an opportunity to lead the process of the land reform, to lead the process on policy advocacy, to lead the process of land use policies. So, I said this has always been gains that we have realized at the level of ROPA. But what I can say is let's give the farmers the opportunity. They have their ideas, they have their knowledge. What they need is they need the right policies, they need the right environment to support their process. It is not the fact that whatever we have has been considered as not important. What is important here is how do we create a synergy between our local knowledge and science? That's why we need to now join, because without which I think it's really going to be difficult to continue feeding the world that we live in. And farmers are key and central in having to have that done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Musa Sow and to Ropa, because we fully agree nothing for family farmers without family farmers, and how the implementation of the CFS policy products, like specifically the guidelines on tenure, have been able to set in place a platform and a process to ensure inclusion from that perspective. Thank you so much. So it is now my pleasure to give the floor to Dr. Nandini Azad, who is the chairperson of the International Cooperative Alliance Asia Pacific Women's Committee, and also president of the Indian Cooperative Network of Women, member of the World Farmers Organization. So Dr. Azad, you have a wealth of experience in strengthening collective action for rural women. Based on this experience, could you tell us how the decade could enable women family farmers to reach their full potential in addressing urgent challenges through collective action? You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
For me to meet you here. I've been trying to chase you for the last 6 months, so it's a pleasure to meet you over here. I'm here representing the World Farmers Organization. I coordinate their global cooperative policy working group. Of course, I'm the president of the Working Women's Forum and the Indian Cooperative Network for Women. We would like to request the UNDFF, as we are steering committee members, some macro priorities. That would be what we start with. To improve sustainability, environmental, social, and economic viability and resilience of the agriculture sector. So we would like to start macro, but most of our discussion is going to be on the ground level, because I get very impatient with in the air, because most of my life, as Madam has pointed out, has been at the ground level. You've already talked about increasing women's empowerment and youth involvement, and that there was a lot of joy when we started, when Mr. Marvello talked about it. and of course a farmers-driven approach. Now, let me, because I have to go like a very fast train given the fact we've got 2 minutes and 3/4, but being the only woman, so I would request that we get at least half a minute or 1 minute more, comprise so much. Sustainable and resilient food systems are a priority on the global agenda as farmers are. Women have a major role to play in this transformation of climate-friendly, gender-resilient strategies. Providing nutritious and affordable food for a growing global population while preserving biodiversity and ecosystems is one of the major challenges. Poor women family farmers worldwide have shown their resilience and made massive efforts to continue producing quality food in a sustainable way pre-COVID, COVID, and post-COVID. As far as the Working Women's Forum that I represent, that's why I want to go right down to the bottom. We have about 620,000 poor women workers in the southern part of India. And we provide, our work is in financial inclusion, including to farmers. And during the pandemic, it was a very, very tough time for all of us and how we survived. But it was because of the women farmers' resilience. Poor agriculture women-led households accessed finance, and they are doing much better than ever before. We also found that the agriculture sector needs extensive investments and organized integration of farm produce with global markets. Everybody has been talking about it. The primary stakeholders to empower farmers as agent of change are farmers' organization and cooperatives like us. Many people don't talk about cooperatives, but cooperatives are a way of spreading dividends, not only like corporates making profits. And when it moves to women, it's even more distributed. Gathering women farmers as well as other relevant stakeholders to exchange about the role of farmers in their organizations, cooperatives, is a very, very valuable panel today. Women farmers' lives are transformed from survival and debt in our work, and the Indian Cooperative Network for Women and the Working Women's Forum, this has been the key. We have provided nearly $5 billion in petty loans. As of now, we don't take any donor money. All sustainable, and a lot of them are farmers. 40% of the farmers, women, have land titles on the name. The minute you give women and a family farmer, we should not have the same patriarchal structure recreated. We have to look at the other roles that she plays, such as reproduction, that men don't play. So therefore, we in our work strategize that you have to break down that whole patriarchal thing and bring in gender and equity. We do a lot of financial services, agriculture inputs, credit for production, technology, marketing, purchase of livestock, no collaterals, no name of the husband, no name of the man on the form. Every bank form has it. So if you want women into family farming, land on her name, no name, she should be allowed to take without collaterals and on her own name. And this is what we have shown the world. We had Secretary of State Clinton come and spend an hour with our women during her time, Queen Juliana of the Netherlands, and many other people. They wanted to learn how these very poor women, illiterate, earning not even €1, how did they do this? Now, so we have to take the 4 roles of women, that is domestic, allied, reproduction. Also, poor women's voices have to be heard on global tables. And even this table, it took us so many years, 40 years, to get onto the tables of the multilaterals and other things. So therefore, what I would like to say is that our women work, we are 43 years old, 282 occupations, so many in agriculture I cannot mention, and they are fighting caste, class, and gender. So many things that women fight, reproduction, caste, class, and gender. So you have to take all that in your strategies. My own PhD is in development planning, and I find that until you take women's roles into cognizance, this is not going to happen. We have been the first women's cooperative, I think in Asia, for women of this magnitude. All software, all digitalized, all done by women. And many of them are children of laborers, people who are earning €1 a day. So therefore, gender equity and social justice, that is the important thing. And so when it came to the supply chain during COVID, it was that broke the back of our women. Our women created their own local supply chains, whether it was fisheries or whatever. So therefore, what we need to look at, in spite of the climate change issues, we have built in the compost pit, we have built in the organic farm, we have built in the kitchen garden, we have done in the vermicompost. So we have put in all of that, natural forest farming methods, traditional cows and bulls, etc., etc. Now, as I finish up and wrap up, I would like to talk more about, half a minute maybe, about organic farming, seeds.
I'm sorry, the time is up.
Okay, so I'll just take 1 more minute.
30 seconds, please.
Okay.
We do have another panel after.
Okay, I'll just do that. So we would like UNDFF to raise awareness on the role played by family farmers, especially women. And that needs a particular focus. Promote national plans and policies in support of family farming, to promote the adoption of farmer-driven public policies for family planning, particularly women. Enable governance mechanisms to do the same and recognize that. Further, governments to commit and invest on women in the family planning process to bring them into the family structures. Strengthen the link between global and local level. The lessons are financial inclusion of poor women farmers is important for them to play on a level playing field. Empowerment training to elevate leadership qualities in women traditionally having been put aside, to bring them to the even keel, and enhance women's economic power and decision-making in family farm. Choose the crop, do the marketing, do the investment. These are the things. Thank you very much, Marcel. I'm sorry that I...
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Nandini, for so compellingly bringing in the attention to women's farmers and their rights within the whole family farming agenda. So thank you very much for that. Now, for the final speaker of our first panel, I am pleased to give the floor to my friend Alberto Broch, who is COPROFAM and Vice President of the World Rural Forum. So, dear Alberto, from your strategic experience, could you please address what type of governance mechanisms can help in contextualizing the implementation of global policy instruments through the decade? You have the floor. 3 minutes, please.
Quero saludar a Marcela, saludar todos os membros da mesa, o presidente Mário, saudar as redes representativas que, junto com o Fórum Rural Mundial, participamos desta grande jornada do desenho da agricultura familiar, la Via Campesina, la OMA, los governos, saludo muito especial em nome do Fórum Rural Mundial. Agora pode contar o tempo. Nós entendemos que temos que colocar em el centro a agricultura familiar. A agricultura familiar é a grande parte da solução de grande parte dos problemas do mundo. Nós não vamos fazer enfrentamento do hambre se não colocamos em el centro a agricultura familiar. O mundo não atingirá a Agenda 2030 se nós não colocamos em el centro a agricultura familiar. Portanto, nós temos uma grande oportunidade, porque temos, allá de compromisso, 2 grandes resoluções das Nações Unidas, aprovadas por quase todo, ou a grande maioria de todos os governos, que são a resolução do desenho da agricultura familiar e a Carta de los Derechos de los Campesinos. Por isso, temos que implementar verdadeiramente estas resoluções, verdadeiramente praticá-las. E nós, a mais dessa resolução, temos plano de ação com 7 pilares, que está tudo incluído nestes 7 pilares. Temos que verdadeiramente implementá-los. Para implementá-los, necessitamos, e lo tomamos muito a sério, o diálogo político. E muitas vezes se torna um diálogo de surdos, porque não escutam. Então, nós temos que levar muito a sério o diálogo político. E como disse o presidente, já temos experiências magníficas como resultado desse trabalho, pero é muito pouco. Temos que nos comprometer muito mais e não nos olvidar de que temos que ter uma atenção muito especial, como já foi dita pela companheira, das mulheres e da juventude. E isto se faz também com uma visão de desenvolvimento. Os jovens não se quedam no campo se eles não têm acesso à internet, se não têm acesso à educação, se não têm acesso a políticas muitíssimo importantes para que estes componentes se traduzam num desenvolvimento sustentável. As políticas necessitam ser articuladas, especialmente com o tema ambiental, com a transição agroecológica, para uma produção mais sustentável, de comida de verdade, de comida saudável, para que possamos fazer frente também aos grandes impactos do câmbio climático. Por isso, renovo este apelo em nome do Fórum para que todos nós outros podemos replicar em todo o mundo, em todos os países, em todos os departamentos, os estados, debates importantes que acontecem lá no terreno, como estamos fazendo aqui na sede da FAO. Por último, levamos muito a sério o debate e o diálogo político. Portanto, nada de nós outros sem nós outros. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Alberto, y muchísimas gracias. Efectivamente, una de las partes más importantes que la década puede aportar es justamente el diálogo que sea un diálogo de verdad entre las diferentes contrapartes y que obviamente no termine en un diálogo de sordos. Verdadera voz, verdadera participación. Muchísimas gracias. Yo quisiera en este momento agradecer a todos los panelistas y al embajador Arbelo. Y vamos a cambiar en un momento la mesa. Entonces le voy a pedir a nuestros siguientes panelistas para la siguiente mesa redonda que por favor se acerquen a tomar sus puestos aquí en la mesa. So while we ask our panelists to please take their seats, please come here. So let me just let you know that our next roundtable is about, I think, one of the most urgent challenges we are facing. It's climate change, and that came out very nicely in the last intervention. So this roundtable will address how to strengthen family farmers' resilience to climate change through public policies and climate-related investments. So thank you very much for being here with us, the panel. And I'm very pleased now to give the floor to Claudio Garon, who is Deputy Permanent Representative of Brazil to UN agencies in Rome. And Mr. Garon, the question for you is how can investing in family farming and recognizing the multi-dimensionality contribute to differing national priorities? So what are the next innovations in Brazil on how an environmental component will be integrated in public policies aimed at family farming? And you have 3 minutes for this complex question. Please, have the floor.
Someone left a 1 minute left here already.
It's a reminder just for reference.
Thank you, Marcela. I would like to start thanking, I think Mario is not around here, but Mario Arvelo was probably the force behind. There he is.
Right there.
Thank you, Mario. Gracias, Mario. Ha sido la fuerza por detrás de la década acá en la FAO y no sabríamos qué hacer sin tu ayuda. I'd like to thank Guilherme for his help here, and especially Alberto, who I don't know if he's still here, a leader of family farmers in Brazil, for his family farming patience with this urbanite who still believes that milk comes from a machine and not from a cow.
From a box, right?
Yes, a box that comes out of a machine. To talk about family farming in Brazil is to talk about Brazil itself. The numbers speak for themselves. 77% of our farms are family farms, and they occupy only 23% of agricultural land. Moreover, it employs 10 million people and has an annual turnover of around $55 billion. They are essentials for food and nutritional safety of Brazil. They produce the basis of our healthy diet. As you can see from my physique, not in my case, very healthy one. Corn, manioc, beans, fruit, vegetables, medium-sized animals, dairy farming, etc., come essentially from family farming in my country. Beyond ensuring food safety, the multidimensionality, this is a very difficult word, of family farming is essential, and it covers the 3 pillars of sustainability. In the economic area, I give an example. In the middle of the financial crisis of 2008, credits for the improvement of mechanizations of family farming was one of the backbones of keeping our industrial employment in place. Even today, those credits still stimulates a whole industry in Brazil. It increased the offer of food products at better places, helping to contain food prices inflation. Environmental resiliency, family farmers are the forefront today of the coexistence between production and conservation. And at the end of my presentation, I'll try to give a real example of that. Public health, it produces healthier, nutritious, and adequate food products, ensuring the availability of healthier ones, contributing to a better diet, not in my case again, and also contributes to regional and local development in Brazil. Talking about Brazilian public policies, and as a diplomat, I'm paid to defend the public policies of my country, but I must recognize that they only scratch the surface of our problems. The creation and the reestablishment of Ministry of Rural Development and Family Farming. For the last 30 years, since the 90s, we have 3 decades of public policies in Brazil for family farming, with innumerable benefits for society as a whole. Brazil destined more than 15 billion euros this year for family farming, a third more than last year. Rural development with an emphasis of gender empowerment through the recognition of property rights for peasant families headed by women. The Brazilian government has appropriated this year more than 500 million euros to buy food from family farming, an important part, my minute left. Where was I? School meal programs prioritized today production from indigenous and traditional communities, as well as products from bioeconomy. In this sense, Brazil has initiated an innovative agroecological and organic production approach, articulating 21 ministries and government agencies, and civil society organizations. The current administration is building policies to support the social bioeconomy and family farming, particularly in the Amazon region. For the first time in our history, we have one vice ministry only dedicated to bioeconomy, trying to coordinate 16 ministries. Brazil has lots of ministries, as you all know. This is a strategy that tries to ensure a model that reduces inequality, sustainably uses our biodiversity, and respects culture of traditional indigenous populations. Talking a bit about this building, about FAO, we believe this organization has a mandate to operationalize the concept of bioeconomy, to help attract investments, particularly to family farming, to improve access to its products in domestic and especially international markets. I would like to conclude telling the story of a Brazilian called Noboru Sakaguchi. Born in Japan, he arrived in Brazil in 1957, making the Amazon his home for the rest of his life. In the beginning, Like most recent arrivals to that region, he tried various monocultural experiences, all of them successful for a very limited time. The forest took its toll. After a few near successes, he embarked, in this case literally, in a boat, in a soul-searching journey across the region. I guess that being a Buddhist monk helped with the soul-searching journey. One day, meeting a local farmer, he had what I can call an agricultural epiphany. This local farmer had a real farm garden with various species planted together without any apparent order. Some by himself, some by his father, grandfather, or even great-grandfather. Known probably for all of you as agroforestry system, it even has a definition you can find on the internet. The intentional integration of trees and shrubs into crop and animal farming system to create environmental, economic, and social benefits. This urbanite learned this a few months ago, reading about Sakaguchi and his family, who still live in and from the same land as an example of family farming. Indigenous people, by the way, knew this for centuries and centuries already. I don't know if it's the best, but this typically Brazilian family demonstrates that family farming is a way to go from a model of exploitation to one of coexistence with nature. This is a model of bioeconomy that we support. I conclude mentioning two things about the Sakaguchis. They donated a part of their land to the university, so to spread their teachings. And unfortunately, the new generations are not staying in the land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for bringing out this really important issue of health and healthy diets and how family farmers contribute to healthy diets, precisely also by the other element that you mentioned, which is diversity and that agricultural epiphany that you mentioned. So thank you very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have two videos, one intervention and our closing remarks, and we do not have the time to do all of that, unfortunately. So while thanking very especially the persons who sent the videos, we will put the videos on the website. So I would invite all of you to please go to the website and see and see the videos. We will give now the floor to our panel member who is here present with us. And I'm really pleased to give the floor to the last speaker, Mr. Séraphin Médard, who is a Vice President of PROPAC and President of SINOP of Congo. So, dear Séraphin, how would you highlight agroecology and the kind of responses it can provide to our current global interrelated challenges? You have the floor, 3 minutes, please. As you wish, yes, of course.
Bien, merci beaucoup, merci. Bonjour et bonsoir à tous. Donc, comme disait la facilitatrice, je suis Séraphin Tadi, je viens du Congo, Congo-Brazzaville. C'est le plus petit Congo à côté du Congo-Kinshasa. Donc, je représente ici la plateforme régionale des organisations paysannes d'Afrique centrale qui a été créée en 2009. Je voulais ne pas alourdir la séance. Je formule mes vœux en termes de... J'ai 3 messages, comme vous nous avez donné 3 minutes, donc je formule en 3 messages mes propos. Le premier message, c'est celui de reconnaître d'abord le travail que fait la société civile, notamment les organisations paysannes, dans le travail de l'alimentation, dans la fourniture d'alimentation. J'ai un premier message plus complexe, mais qui peut dire tout. C'est celui de permettre aux États de reconnaître déjà la décennie comme moyen pour appuyer les organisations paysannes et la société civile. Parce que si ces États n'inscrivent pas les politiques qui encouragent l'agroécologie, les changements climatiques, cela ne pourra pas marcher. Le deuxième message, c'est que nous disposons d'un plan. Nous avons un plan pour mettre en œuvre la décennie des Nations Unies sur l'agriculture familiale. C'est le deuxième message. qui nécessitent un appui. Le troisième message, c'est de reformer un peu les institutions au niveau national pour que, telles que la FAO, qui est proche de toutes ces institutions, qui devra accompagner les États à changer un peu, à accompagner, à pouvoir les encourager à s'engager sur ce dont ils ont pris des engagements. Je prends un exemple. Il y a un an, nos États ont pris les engagements sur les systèmes alimentaires. Mais 2 ans plus tard, les évaluations que nous avions menées n'ont pas abouti à des bons résultats. Donc, je voulais passer ce message pour que ceci soit comme un peu une recommandation à restructurer au niveau de la FAO et que la FAO ne fasse plus les TCP pour les pays, à la demande des pays, mais qu'elle fasse les TCP pour les organisations de la société civile, telles que disent souvent les représentations au niveau national. Je vous remercie donc d'avoir écouté nos propos et j'espère que dans un an, on aura l'occasion d'y participer. Merci.
Merci infiniment, Séraphin, pour vos propos. On prend vraiment au sérieux vos recommandations, justement pour la FAO, mais surtout aussi auprès des États. Et on est tout à fait d'accord avec vous, la décennie, c'est un vrai moyen pour appuyer les organisations de producteurs, les organisations paysannes. Merci beaucoup. I am told, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank our interpreters that they are granting us just a few minutes more. So I'd like to thank them very specially. So we do have time to see the video, one of the 2 videos, and I would like, please, if we could see the video coming from IUCN, and we will see Ms. Zoe Williamson, who is Program Officer at this institution, the International Union for Conservation of Nature.
Good afternoon, everyone, and greetings from the International Union for the Conservation of Nature here in Gland, Switzerland. I'm honored to have the opportunity to address the Committee on Food Security side event today and would like to thank the organizers for inviting IUCN to contribute to this important discussion. IUCN is an implementing partner of the Forest and Farm Facility, a partnership between FAO, IIED, AgriCord, and IUCN, where we channel direct financial and technical support to forest and farm producer organizations representing family farmers, rural women's groups, local communities, and indigenous peoples institutions. We work closely with some of you who are here today, specifically on bolstering advocacy efforts to increase access to climate finance, so I'm delighted to be speaking to you about this today. I've been asked to give you an overview of the current landscape of climate finance for family farmers. But before doing this, I would like to emphasize the important link between nature conservation and agriculture and the critical role that family farmers play in this. Family farmers are powerful partners in the fight against climate change. They are already practicing climate resilient agriculture, which promotes diversity. They can also significantly contribute to climate change mitigation efforts by protecting soils and biodiversity and helping store carbon. In a world where 75% of global food crop types rely on natural pollination, family farmers help us safeguard agrobiodiversity and these important ecosystem services. Family farmers are also critical to food security and nutrition. We are feeding 3 billion more people than 50 to 60 years ago, and family farmers produce a third of the world's food. Yet, the proportion of international climate finance reaching the ground certainly does not reflect the value of family farmers at this point in time. Despite their critical role, small-scale producers received just 1.7% of total global climate finance in 2018, only $10 billion compared to the $240 billion per year they need to adapt. In the meantime, financing that supports actions to address climate change surpassed $500 billion in 2017 and 18. We also know that more diverse, low-input farming, such as agroecological approaches, which are more sustainable and help build resilience to climate change, are also underfunded. Most of the $611 billion spent subsidizing food production every year is used to support industrial farming that is harmful to people and the environment. Agricultural subsidies are over $500 billion and are expected to triple by 2030. As my fellow panelists will know much better than me, family farmers encounter a number of challenges in accessing the funds they need. They are still not seen as key partners in delivering more sustainable and resilient food systems, and complex application processes and unfair eligibility criteria can also make it hard for family farmer organizations to directly access this climate finance. All this despite the fact that family farmers are also extremely vulnerable to climate change, and gender inequalities such as unequal access to land or credit mean women farmers are especially vulnerable. If you're interested in these statistics, I would like to point here to a research report on the proportion of climate financing reaching family farmers, which will be launched by 10 farmers organizations, some of which are supported through the Forest and Farm Facility and of whom are in the room with you today. This report will be launched in a few weeks' time in the run-up to COP28, so watch this space in the coming weeks. To conclude, it is vital to increase climate finance flows to family farmers to feed the world, but also to safeguard and conserve nature and livelihoods. It is an injustice that those who produce a significant portion of the world's food and safeguard much of the world's agrobiodiversity receive just a fraction of the support that is needed. Again, if you are interested in the findings in finding the updated statistics about the current landscape of climate financing, please keep an eye out for the report that will be released in a few weeks' time. I want to express my gratitude once again for this opportunity to share my perspective on this important issue and wish you a great discussion today.
Thanks go to Zoe Williamson. IUCN, and ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching the end of this, I thought, really interesting side event, which has been co-organized by FAO with the World Rural Forum, who have been our partners for this long road on family farming way before the International Year was proclaimed in 2014. So it's a side event co-organized with them. That has been, I think, very inspiring. So it is now my real big pleasure to give the floor to Renate Hallen, who is Principal Administrator from the European Commission, for her concluding views and her views on this issue on family farming. So, Renate, you have a difficult job after all of those really fascinating presentations, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure and honor to try to conclude with in three segments. First, I wanted to look back at what we have heard today. I wanted to tell you a little bit of what the EU is doing, how the EU is positioning itself, then a few words on outlook. Very good to hear how many countries have meanwhile started to engage, that we have national action plans, that some of the countries that have action plans are here. That's very promising. We have seen references to various products of the CFS as being relevant for the work in the decade of family farming, the right to adequate food, the voluntary guidelines on tenure of land, fisheries, forests, gender, responsible investment, youth, agroecology, gender. So a lot has been mentioned. Also, that we have plans and that there needs to be support now for implementation. That, I think, came out from some. With a link to climate, I was very impressed by the one sentence of the first speaker, of Javier, who said, "There was a drought last year. I didn't harvest anything." So this is, of course, a strong call also on how can governments be supported in building resilience against not only repeating, but probably worsening extreme weather events. We have heard what Spain is putting full focus on, but also Brazil is putting the focus on. For Spain, it was very much support for the smaller farmers, focus on increasing the role of women farmers in the sector, bring it up to, as Juan said, at least 50%, and then also the generational substitution. That's also a problem that we have heard also from you here. We hear it often that the farmers, the fishermen generations are, they are growing older and it's not so attractive to enter the sector. So congrats to Spain that there are new young people that are entering the sector, and there's probably lessons to be learned that you could share with other countries that face the same problem. Also strengthening corporate management, and also increasing the element of sustainability and family farming. Musa had this strong call, what is decided without me is not for me, but has also then on a positive indicated, yes, the farmers are now part of the policy decision-making process through the Rural Forum platform, through the multi-sectoral committee, that there is also access for women and youth to land. It has been a challenge, it is being tackled, and that the platform also provides knowledge sharing for government and to link government and farmers, and also that it is also a platform for conflict resolution. That I found quite interesting. Dr. Azad, yes, women have more functions than just being farmers, and this is probably underestimated in the policy making. She mentioned explicitly reproduction, also what women are doing in the households, and that goes beyond what men usually do. That cooperatives are a means to leverage income for groups, especially when women get together. That access to finance for women has improved, for women farmers has improved, a good achievement. That land titles, it's still a fight, but when land titles are in the names of the women only, it is an achievement. It helps them also with access to finance. Alberto has very much called on, has made the strong call on the decade itself, and also to UNDROP, so the UN Declaration on the Rights of Peasants, and has called for implementation. So that is something that was a recurrent issue in the discussion, that we need to go into implementation. For Brazil, Claudio has said, and that's very courageous to say this as a representative of the government, public policies in our countries only scratch the surface. So there is a lot to be done, and it's not easy because Brazil is not a small country with very different situations. The focus, again, also here on gender empowerment, on land rights, a strong commitment to bioeconomy, the call on the FAO to conceptualize bioeconomy, and then also this beautiful example on the coexistence of agroforestry and biodiversity while preserving biodiversity, that it is possible. Then Zoe has told us about the underfunding of agroecology, and that most funds still go into industrial production, and she sees unfair and biased eligibility criteria for financial support. Second part of my concluding remarks is to tell you a little bit on how the EU is positioning itself. So we have provided direct support to operationalize the UN Decade for Family Farming through the World Rural Forum, to develop an enabling policy environment to strengthen family farming towards sustainable food systems. We also support very strongly the family farming agenda more broadly, and we do this mainly through structural support to the global and regional farmers organizations channeled through IFAD. Since 2009, we have invested around 106 million euros for that purpose. Our support has the goal that farmers organizations increase their presence in the global agenda and influence global, regional, national, and local policies. And adding that I hope it does not take 40 years, as we have heard before to get to the global, to get to a panel in the multilateral context. We are also a strong supporter of agroecology. We have just earlier this year, we have, for instance, concluded a 75 million program, two programs to advance agroecological practices. We are doing this with IFAD, and we see also an increasing interest from our partner countries around the world to get support for agroecological approaches. What comes next? What is the outlook? I see perhaps a link from here to the IFAD Farmers Forum, which will take place in early 2024. And perhaps I see also a link from the work being done here. There is, of course, a big thank to both the FAO and IFAD, who ensure the Secretariat to facilitate the implementation of the action plan of the decade. Then for me, there is the question, how do these national action plans and frameworks for family farming link with the national food systems pathways? How can the two be linked or leverage each other? I haven't heard anything about it here, so this is perhaps also a question for consideration. We have COP28 coming up basically next month or so, where food systems is also on the agenda. And then I have a last very personal request, and this is linked to my age. I get very sensitive when I look at panel compositions, and I would really be happy to see more balanced panel compositions, that the one female panelist on here needs to beg for an extra minute to bring in all the further dimensions that only women farmers face. So I think that would be good that we go for something like parity on panels. We are striving to do this ourselves. We do not often succeed ourselves. I'm critical also when I see this in internal panels that I have attended in my own institution. But this is really, the older I get, the more sensitive I am. Thank you very much to everybody and for this opportunity to make concluding remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Renate. We really appreciate your comments. We're 1 minute over, and again, once more, I would just like to conclude by thanking very, very specially each and every one of our panelists, each and every one of the participants, and all of you who came here and made it a reality. Very specially, I'd like to thank the World Rural Forum and my own team who made this side event possible, and also thank very much the interpreter and the great messengers who were able to keep us on time. So thanks so very much to all, and we have ahead of us a big task, which is to ensure that family farming is put at the center of policies, as was said today also in the panel. So thank you very much to all of you.
Tengo que decir que los 350 eventos